Hey everybody, it's Baron. Before we start today's episode, I just want to give a massive shout out to Great Rafiki over on Twitter. He composed our brand new theme song that you'll be hearing in just a few seconds. It is amazing. I'm in love with it. So please head over to Twitter, give him some love, and follow him. Check out his music. He is incredible. If you have any musical needs, hit him up. The work that he's done for us is great. I am so excited, and I hope you all will enjoy. Good morning, THEDAS. We are back again. This time I am joined by the Bioware babbler himself. I am joined by Scott.
Sup, nerds?
And as always, the illustrious Nimble.
Aw, hi.
And today we're going to be talking about the newest updates that we've gotten on Dragon Age Dreadwolf and the leaks that dropped a couple weeks ago, because shit got a little crazy there for a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now this episode's not going to be particularly too long. We're probably not going to have a 2-3 hour podcast like we do. What?
You know, thank God that my desk is made of wood, because I'm knocking on it right the fuck now.
That's probably a good point. Yeah. Where's mine? Where's wood?
I got someone next to me here. There you go. We'll keep it somewhat short this time. But here we go. To start, I think we can talk about the new community update that just dropped, which is basically a talking about the design of Dreadwolf and skill trees and all that kind of stuff. Did either of you happen to have read it yet?
Yes, I have read it.
All right. What is your basic thought on it so far?
So my basic take on it so far is this is, if you're looking for juicy details on how are they gonna do the design, I want to dive into the skill trees, which I'm sure we're probably gonna talk about later, and really read into them. But overall, this is essentially this is their attempt to slowly release more and more about the game and just letting people know how game development works.
Yeah.
And so at least that's my initial take on it, is this is just them teaching this is how we make games. Here is the name of our designers. Here's the name of the people who are making this game.
Yeah.
Or at least in that portion, kind of what are some of our design philosophies and so on and so forth. If you are hoping that this is going to give a lot of insights onto Dragon Age 4, sorry, you're not going to get much here. Is this good to know, in my opinion, for game dev? Just understanding game development? Absolutely.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, that's at least my take on it. Nimble?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the same. I've been I read through it, obviously, because I'm going into computer science and everything, and I really enjoyed the skill tree and the option that there might be a multi-class option based on the way it looks. And
I did hear some rumblings about that.
That's really fun. At the same time, I think people are starting to get a little bit frustrated, unfortunately, because it's just very small tidbits of information versus 8 years of development.
I was gonna say 8 years to do that to you.
Yeah. So
Oh,
which
yeah.
is understandable, but at the same time, I think unless you actually know what goes into game development and what like is happening behind the scenes, and absolutely every single game developer they've announced deserves all those credit because so many people work on a AAA video game, which I very much actually enjoy that they are giving like everybody credit as much as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, at the same time, I kind of like I can kind of also understand that like frustration that's going on because 8 years, but I'm also like a very patient person, so
Yeah.
I am
Well,
not, and I will start throwing fists at EA executives because it's all their fault that this shit took this long.
I think that one's
I'm gonna say
debatable.
it's at least 80% EA executives.
that one I don't know. That one I think I will disagree with, but that's because a lot of it more has to. My reasoning for that is purely because of what the mismanagement of Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem.
I was about
That
to say the same thing. So
I
many
I
people.
agree.
Bioware's mismanagement of those two games is what has delayed Dragon Age 4 for so long.
And so many people have had to like get taken off projects from Dragon Age to work on those two games.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah.
I
True
think
on both of those, I agree. But here's like a quick counter to that is that EA was forcing them to make a multiplayer game, and then they had to restart development, I believe, 2 times because of the executive choices.
Not really. Keep in mind, the devs have come out saying that they've been wanting to make Dragon Age have some sort of multiplayer element since Origins. So
If it's co-op, I'm down,
this
but that's not what
yeah,
the EA means. EA means stuff it full of microtransactions and make it
I mean,
multiplayer.
yeah,
There's a pattern there.
a little bit, but even still, a lot of this has been EA is like, sure, EA can ask of certain things, but I also know that Bioware has also wanted to do like, yeah, no, we want to do multiplayer too. Sure, they may want on to like, oh, we want certain monetizational aspects of it so then we can generate more money off of it. That's true, and that can definitely affect things. But I mean, Dragon Age Inquisition, especially from what we've learned from the development from especially a lot of the Drayson Schreier stuff before I would say like 2020. This game is just it was worked on and off because they had to keep on taking teams on and off, you know, and then they had to restart development on it. So initially Joplin had like 8 years, or I can't remember what the first iteration of the game was, had like maybe a year and a half of pre-development to it. Then it got canned. Then they switched it to the other game, and then now they've EA cut the multiplayer from it. Has cut the multiplayer from it. And keep in mind that was an EA mandate. That was EA telling BioWare cut out the multiplayer, which
Yes,
also
after initially
adds
making them do it.
sure, but they were also the ones that shot down Anthem too. So
Whoops.
to a certain extent, EA is learning a little bit of like, okay. Granted, I also think Anthem was cut less because of it didn't make enough money, but more of like, okay, here's the problem. It's going to be another year and a half to 2 years until Anthem 2.0 is ready to go. Okay, well, that means we're delaying. That means that's going to get in the way of the timeline for the Legendary Edition for Mass Effect. That's going to get in the way of Dragon Age Dreadwolf. That's going to probably also get in the way of the next Mass Effect game. And then add a global pandemic on top of that, which has probably delayed most of their projects by 2 years anyway. They probably couldn't afford it. They were looking at it like,
Yeah, it was a
if we
big waste of money by that point.
not even a waste of money. It's like if we put in as the resources needed, because BioWare is only 200-300 people. They're not a huge department. Maybe 400 or 500 if you account both Edmonton and their Austin offices. They're not a big studio. they're not that big for AAA space. And they're already spread between 3 different major franchises, and adding a 4th one in, it's simply a thing of like, yeah, we can't, if we try to put in full investment in this game, it's going to hurt all our other franchises, and we can't do that. So I can kind of see where that comes in. To rear that back onto Dragon Age, though, I have seen a decent amount of sentiments of, we want, like, okay, hey, these little Bioware blogs, we want more. We want a trailer and stuff like that. But at the same time, people also want game dev development stuff. And when I'm reading this is boring shit. Newsflash, everybody. Most of game development is boring shit.
Takes a lot of boring to make the big exciting.
Yeah. I feel like Nimble, you of all people would appreciate this. Of like, yes, it's cool when you finally present your final project, your final like computer science project. How many hours of fucking coding though you got to do to get to that point, and how much does it want to just
so bad? And yeah,
and how much is it
you have these like little idiosyncrasies that you mess up, and then you have to have like you have to go over things. But that's also I found out from Aaron that AAA studios actually have like people that will go over coding for you to tell you your mistakes, so you can go back over, which is a very nice aspect when you're not working alone. But that being said, yeah, no, it's very technical, very, very technical, and actually a lot of the pretty stuff is more towards the artists.
Yeah.
And and storytellers versus the game design aspect.
Yeah, and this stuff is like, honestly, I'm looking at this. If you look at actually the blog, one of the first things that they show is so like they have the first that they show is just essentially a one-page document of, this is the thing that we want to do, right? One thing that I also don't think people appreciate, they are naming the individuals.
I appreciate that very much. I love that.
Yeah. So it's like, if you want to know who did the UI or who did the script or who did blah, 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 you have the names right there, which is something that's really rare in a lot of studios. I'm starting, more and more studios are starting to do that, i.e. look at what Bungie is doing. Bungie from Bungie's a big one. The people at Baldur's Gate. I know Blizzards is also working on trying to do that more and more as well. More trying to show like, hey, this isn't just, there's not one face to the company who's in charge of everything, who does everything. There is a whole set of people here. But like the first graph that you see, it it tells people, like, it has like all these different numbers, like level points and all this stuff, and this was made in fucking Excel. It's something straight out of Excel, and it doesn't, it's like, I look at it, I'm like, what is this? But that's like, and Ethan, I hope you have visuals and stuff like that to help my point out. But
time to edit.
What did you say?
I said time to edit.
Oh yeah.
Just to add more, stuff onto your plate. But I look at this and it's like, it's not flashy. This is like, wow, this looks kind of like nerdy and dumb. Like, I've seen fucking character sheets from D&D look a hell lot better than this, but that's kind of the point. You have to, like, they're showing a lot of the preliminary work on this. Granted, I don't know how old some of these images are. This may have been from their first iteration of the project, or the second iteration, or the third one. I don't know. So, but, I mean, a lot of this stuff doesn't even have fancy visuals or anything like that. Or if they do, they're kind of rough and crude, but
Yeah.
this is game dev. This is the boring shit. You wonder why why aren't they giving us weekly updates? Because it's like, well, I made another Excel sheet.
And shit takes a while.
Yeah, I made another one.
Here's the 7th one this week.
Yeah.
Progress is slow.
Yeah, and how much of it is just the boring nonsensical shit? Like, I think the only way you could make it more interesting is if you somehow made a YouTube video about it, but I don't know.
With
I mean,
lots
you
of
would need a
visual
whole-
aids.
Yeah, a lot of visual aids, and also you would need a whole team. You would probably need a small team whose job it is to just collect assets from everybody, boil stuff down, and making videos constantly. You would need a small team to do that.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how big their community team is over there at BioWare, but like I'm looking at this and like, yeah, it's not very exciting, but most of game dev is not exciting. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like,
That's how
it's
that
a
shit
lot.
works.
A lot of technical stuff, and you just kind of gotta accept it. But I do agree that like having all of that credit go out for people that are working on this is they haven't really done that in the past, and I actually really enjoy it because the fact that so many people do deserve credit.
Yeah. Well, and BioWare is actually, despite what everybody thinks, BioWare is actually known for actually allowing a lot of leeway of their employees and developers to actually post stuff on social media. They actually have, compared to other studios, a lot more leeway. And so, like, and the fact that there's some people who don't want to be on social media, so they do post like stuff like this and like, hey, I'm in charge of the UI. Some of it is they are willingly taking the risk of, being out there for public ridicule. So if like we as a community collectively believe like, oh, this UI is terrible, we now have a name for it. We have their name, and we've had their name for a while, which means we can track them down on social media and stuff like that. So that's the other thing people got to keep in mind is we have names, and they're also taking a risk posting their names on there, and not only that, but specifically assigning it to certain things.
Yeah, because there's shitty people out there who will go out of their way to mess with you and ruin your life and shit. It's just bullshit.
Oh yeah.
People
well,
suck.
And also, yeah, and then you have things like doxing and things like that you also have to worry about as well. That, hey, and also, like, you're talking about a fan base of millions of people. Not all of them are gonna, and like, we all seen in fandom spaces that things can be taken to a extreme, and that's true.
What you're saying is we all have Twitter. We've all seen people on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you got to keep that in mind. There are some people who have been wanting to, there's reasons why some people don't post their name, put their shit out there.
Yep.
There's a reason for it. And you kind of have to respect that to a certain degree.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm happy, but I am happy though that they are giving names, and they're also giving design philosophies and stuff even if it is broad stroke stuff, sure, but hey, it's something at least. But I will say, I can understand why people are going, yeah, hey, we need more than this. We're not excited for this anymore. We want a trailer. Especially we don't even have a date for the game yet.
Yeah.
And all reports are indicating it's supposed to come out at the end of this year.
Hopefully.
Supposedly. Supposedly.
Hopefully we get a trailer at the end of the year. I don't think... yeah.
Yeah, my guess is 2024. That's when this game is going to come out.
Most likely. I say November.
November, yeah.
I'm as like a guess. I'm saying November next year.
I'm thinking March. Most of the Dragon Age games, like in a lot of Bioware games, like to come out in March.
True.
I'm kind of leaning towards March as well.
I only say November because that's like, I feel like November is usually like the month for the big AAA game or movie. It's like that's always like their not specifically. I'm not talking about Bioware. I'm saying like in general. Like November is the day. I mean the time. So I don't know. It's more likely probably March, especially since they have a history of it. But whenever I say anything's coming out like in the future, I'm like, yeah, probably November that year. It's like my like placeholder thing. Also, real quick, earlier, Scott, you mentioned how they were bringing up they're like saying people who are doing the jobs now, like they're shouting like saying, hey, like this is who created the UI and stuff. In the article that they dropped the other day, they did shout out a few people that I just want to throw out there real quick. So for like the brief skills, is what it says, character progression, all that stuff for the skill trees and all that. There's the author is Luke Barrett. I don't know what XD means, but I assume maybe it's a executive director. I don't know. Bruno Porio. The RPG programming is Daryl Christmas. And the UI programming is Andrew Stedman. So big shout out to all you guys for working on the games that we love. It is super appreciative, and I'm glad that the company is spotlighting you.
Yeah. No, and it's honestly awesome. Well, and also as well, Chelsea oh good lord, I'm gonna butcher this name to the nine hells and back.
Butcher the names.
They'll understand. They know that you mean well.
I think it's Winstowish. Winstowish. Kelsey Winstowish, who is the technical designer. Like, hey, that's fucking awesome that they're highlighting you too. So
Is that in the oh yes, it's further down on the list. Okay, I didn't get that far yet. Yeah.
That's what happens when you read things ahead of time, Ethan.
Yeah, well, you know what? Even if I did read it ahead of time, I telling you right now, I would not retain the information.
Yeah.
My brain, my memory gone. It's bad. But yeah.
Thank God you're pretty, Ethan.
Thank fucking God for that.
Oh no.
What?
Nothing. Oh jeez, just that reference.
Yeah, like I said, Kelsey, yeah, Wasentowicz. I think that's how you say it. I'm taking a guess. Kelsey Wasentowicz.
So, like, and I'm sure if someone with more technical know-how, probably can decipher a lot more from this and be able to learn a lot more from it. I know, like Nimble said earlier, of like, hey, this might mean there's multi-classing, which that would be fucking dope.
Dude, I would love that so fucking much. What if it's like a thing where like you have to play as a mage no matter what because it's like Tevinter, but you get like all these other things that like that's in there. You know what I mean?
I also have like no know-how in the sense that I'm only doing basic programming classes at the moment. This is a you need Aaron moment.
Aaron! I know you can't hear me because it's like you're on the other side of the pond, but Aaron!
Sleeping.
I'm shouting to France. Oh, it's only what? It's 9 o'clock there.
Just 9.
It's only 9. She's awake.
There's actually a good chance that's the case, actually.
Yeah, she's probably awake.
Yeah, so definitely something where it's like if you have more game dev experience or just more intelligent, and then you could probably piece some stuff together. Cool, it's pretty color coded, but I'm really certain if you zoom in on the images, it's like they're alphabetically numbered, and that's it. I think the next version of it is still just as labeled, but ooh, we get at least pretty picture in the Saturn. Yay!
Hey, I don't know if y'all scroll down further in the community post, and I'll straight up I'll insert the picture here on the video. This meme that that art they made, it's like somebody made art that's also a meme. I'm gonna post it in the chat, the podcast discussion chat. This is the
Okay.
greatest thing I have ever seen, and I need you guys to see it if you haven't already. There you go.
I think I know what you're referring to.
That
Oh, this guy.
is
Oh yeah, no, I was
so good.
Yeah, that meme is just great.
Oh my
It's like,
god!
cool girl.
Also, that also that is 100% my thought process of is like, okay, how can I channel my inner mountain goat and go
your inner Skyrim horse.
straight of a line?
And ditch Thresher Malls.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, no, I have done that before to varying degrees of success.
Yeah, it's usually not that great when it comes to Mass Effect. You don't really get far.
Not
Pretty
with that
well, but
attitude.
like that's just like sheer. I have time to make sure I can go over all the mountains
Yeah. The one thing
and
that
lots of jumping.
it is also nice that they are like showing off fan art and stuff like that more, and even stuff from like Absolute, like showing off like art and cosplays from like Absolution and stuff. Which, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've like it is definitely cool. It's problem is I think the problem we've had so many small steps. The fan base is starting to get more and more ready for something big.
A little bit more official.
Yeah. Well, they want a trailer or something they want something a little bit juicier because we've been getting straps for a while.
Been blue balled for years.
Yeah, I mean, like we got a trailer last year, and it's like, oh well, we got a trailer. I remember signing guy into it, like we got a trailer last year, and it's like, yeah, and you know how much it revealed to us? Nothing.
It was also pretty much just a replica of that previous trailer.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of threw people off a little bit as well.
Yeah. Well, and also one thing.
I mean, just because it was Varric talking, but it literally was just the same thing as when Solus was like, "Hey, I suspect you have questions."
Oh yeah. I love so Bioware recently did a thing where they said like it was like it was a caption with Solus and it's I'm sure you have questions about blank and it said like fill the question like wrong answers only, and I tweeted out there of like giving you actual substantial answers to things.
I suppose you have answers.
I was about to say, I think I've talked about this on this podcast before. I'd love the Trespasser DLC, but Jesus Christ, everything that Solus says drives me nuts because it's so vague.
Oh, ha ha ha! Sorry, I can't tell you anything.
You'll have to find out in the next game. That's what he says to you. He's like, you'll have to find out in the next game, Scott.
Yeah. What was the analogy I used all the way back? I think the analogy I used was like someone essentially talking about the complexity of like World War One and just saying there was a war.
Yeah.
There was a war, and that's all.
Um,
Some shit happened, I guess.
Yeah, shit happened. I was there, I get. But one of the things that's interesting because a lot of people say like, well, we got a trailer back in like 2018. What the fuck? And it's like, Mark. I was watching a live stream with Mark Dura. He actually brought up the fact on why a trailer came out then, and it was purely because of politics.
Yeah, to make sure the company was like, hey, people actually want this. Please don't shut us down.
Well, so a little bit of so that was Bioware's end of it. Like we wanted to help solidify that this project was going to go through, that it wasn't going to get like canceled or anything like that. So, but on EA's end, they were also using Bioware for their own political reasons of like, shit, we need to fill in this space and showing that we have a more diverse array of projects and assets.
Yeah.
And we need something to fill in this in I think it was like the Game Awards. Like we have to fill in this spot for Game Awards. We need to find something. And Bioware swooped in and was like, yeah, sure. We'll put something in there. So like they were playing politics.
Varric chest hair for people.
Yeah. But it's like, well, that one they didn't show Chester. That was that was the mural one.
Yeah.
But it was like that's kind of the beauty of it. Like, yeah, no, that was done for essentially political reasons. And they may have done that again, but we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like there may be other reasons why we're not getting trailers, and also, yeah, trailers are cool and all, but a lot of them have been just floof. There's
Yeah.
nothing. There's not a lot of substance to them, and I think as a fan base, we are kind of ready for that. Like, we're ready for it.
Yeah.
Granted, BioWare also has in mind as well of the casual fans who haven't been paying attention to BioWare or Dragon Age for 8+ fucking years, that there are now content creators that are 6 or 7 years old. Well, in regards of like content creation,
Yeah.
that have been around, like some of the cornerstone content creators in our community, people like Jack Darrell, Gilderthalen, and people like that, they've been around for a while.
Oh yeah, I started watching Jackdaw. I think if my timeline is right, either not too long after Inquisition or like right before Inquisition. I'm pretty sure it was before.
Yeah,
but I can't remember.
And a lot of them started their careers well after Inquisition was done. Like, and so, but there's a lot of people, a lot of fans who aren't like that, who, they move on to other games and whatnot, which that is totally normal and healthy to do. You shouldn't, like, this whole idea of, oh, you have to stick to this game, you always have to provide content. No, you don't. Like, move on to other things. I promise you it will make the experience probably better. And especially, hey, newsflash, developers have that in mind when they're designing shit. So,
unless they're like Ubisoft, where they're specifically designing their games to trap you for hundreds and hundreds of hours and not let you go.
Yeah, fair, but even still, like, they keep that kind of, most developers keep that type of shit in mind. So,
yeah.
I do think that with a lot of BioWare, like, with oh god, I totally just lost my train of thought. God damn it.
It's okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to recover what that. Oh yeah, but like most fans of the like most of those fans are gonna hop on. For them, it's like, oh yeah, oh shit, it has been a while since there's been another Dragon Age game. Cool. I'll just jump straight into it. Versus then there's us who's like, we have been waiting for 12 long years.
It's been 84
We're
years
old now, okay?
Yeah.
Dude, how old was I when Inquisition came out? That was again 8 years
16?
ago. I was.
Yeah.
No, 18.
Yeah, I think I was something like that.
Yeah, I was about.
What's that?
Yeah, I was like probably 18.
I was probably like 16 or something like that. You guys are older than me, right?
I was 17 or 18.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 27 now, so.
Oh yeah, I forgot you guys are old.
Yeah,
shut up.
I'm old as fuck.
I was about 16. I was 16. I think.
Everything cracks now, and I'm just like, no, stop.
Nothing changed for me because everything always cracked. I was born with a shitty body. I was born with glass bones.
This year, just everything starts crunching, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm dying.
I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every evening I break my arms.
Then there was me who did like sports and all that shit, and it's a miracle my body hasn't fallen apart yet.
My sport I did fencing.
Ooh,
that was my sport of choice, and I was damn good at it. What's happening? Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm back.
I heard
Sorry.
and then I was like, oh, what happened?
I for some reason my computer will like just the monitor will just turn off if I don't do something for a while.
Yeah.
And that makes everything mute. So I can't hear you. I can't hear myself. I can't do anything.
Oh, lovely.
Good. I was just concerned. I just heard no, and then just gone.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, but overall, I'll just say, like, yeah, I think as a fandom, I think we're kind of ready for something substantial, but I mean, if they want to roll the shit out slowly and make sure, because I think Bioware is also wanting to be careful. They want to control the narrative because for the last 10+ years, like they've had narratives completely run out of their control.
Yeah.
So
Can I?
I
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, they're tired of that shit. They want to control it.
Yeah.
That's
I would like to throw out a idea, perhaps,
Mhm.
that they did in the past that I would love, very much love. But if you guys remember, I don't know if y'all watched it when it happened, but back in 2013, 2014, before Inquisition came out, BioWare had a deal with Game Informer where they were
Mhm.
doing dev diaries just for, I'm pretty sure it was Game Informer. It could be GameSpot or something like that. One of those. But I'm
Yeah.
going to say Game Informer. I'm pretty sure it was Game Informer. Where they had a deal with them to make dev diaries just for them. So every I don't know, week, a couple weeks, something like that, they were releasing dev diaries on the Game Informer channel. They're sitting down with the devs and talking about things, and I think that would be an amazing way to do that. And it gives people something, even if it doesn't, even if in the big picture it's not substantial, it feels substantial because it's a video and they're out, every now and then, and it feels like something's being given. And I really enjoy that kind of thing. I like being able to watch them, talk about their craft. It's fun. And I
Yeah.
remember the even if it's like 10 shots of a completely gray skybox with a person in T-pose, I'd be like, this is peak content. Thank you. Like, I would love that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, they can agree with you on that. Sure.
I'm gonna pull up YouTube real quick. You might hear me clacking because I just need to. I'm pretty sure it was Game Informer. Uh,
Clickety clack, clickety clack,
can you hear me
clickety
clicking?
clickety clickety clack.
Click it a clack. Whacking it in
Just
San
momentary
Diego.
break,
yeah,
guys.
it
Clickety clack.
was
Clickety clack, clack, clack,
it was
clack,
Game
and
Informer.
click. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
every couple weeks it was like exploring the world of Dragon Age Inquisition, the combat of Dragon Age Inquisition, playing hours of Dragon Age Inquisition. It was like all that, and it was awesome. It was also
Well, I
yeah,
have a
good.
question. How long ago? So how long were they posting those sort of things?
It's a couple
And how
months, I
long of
think.
it was before the, or how far away was it from the launch of Inquisition?
Let me see. I'm gonna click on the one of the earliest ones I can find, the one that says 8 years ago and not 9 years ago. So we'll go with this one. The one labeled "Discover the Dragon Age" was posted March 6th.
Okay, so March 6th, and then when did Dragon Age Inquisition come out? Now it's my turn to do clickety clacks.
You go ahead. I
Clickety
will
clack.
try and find the earliest one. I think this
I
is the
don't want to say
earliest one.
2008. I know that's not. That's not.
That's
November.
quite a...
So when did you say it came out?
The
What?
latest one that I saw, because I didn't look through all of them, but the latest one was March 6th, 2014, but the earliest one is August 6th, 2013.
Okay, so that's actually pretty far out because Dragon Age Inquisition released on November 18th.
Oh, what was that about November,
2000.
huh?
Do you know what? Yeah, I played myself. Yeah, so I mean that's 8 months. I mean, granted, I think, and maybe some of it, and maybe some of the reason why they're not doing it might, or why they're not doing it with the Game Informer,
Mm-hmm.
is one, look at where Game Informer is right now.
Rest in peace.
And especially it's like, well, why do I need to do it when we have our own blog and stuff like that and we can release it ourselves? Because
Yeah.
I mean, they have been doing actually dev diaries. Like not only just some of the blog posts, but them just talking about some of the devs. Like they've done like dev spotlights and stuff like that before in previous blogs. So I mean, so they've been kind of doing this for a while, which it seems to be. You said August of 2013, correct?
Yeah, August 2013 is
Yeah,
it
so
was
that's
August something,
nearly
20
a
something.
year out. That's over a year out from when Inquisition released.
It's about 14 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm wondering how much of it is also because I know one issue in a lot of game dev that a lot of devs say is like, we'll release something, and if something gets released, people are going to hold us to it and
Yeah.
wonder, wait, why isn't this here?
I'll
Why
tell you.
isn't this like this? We saw it like this,
Let
and
me.
then
Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm just really excited about something.
yeah, and people will say like, oh well, hey, you're fucking doing this to us. This is false advertising. Or why isn't it like this? Which Bioware's been dealing with for years.
Yeah.
So
Right.
some
So
of it that might be why they're being vague on shit, because it's like we don't want you to hold us to anything or us create a false standard.
yeah,
Look,
that's
all I want to
that's.
know
Oh, go ahead, Nimble.
is if Varric is romanceable. Then I can say.
That's all I care about.
This might be the one. You don't know. This might be
Give
it.
me. Give me finally.
So
It's gonna be
what I was really excited about just now, which when you said like things that have this is also going to be a really good segue, but the thing that I was really excited about when you mentioned that was that one of the things when you mentioned, oh my god, my brain's breaking, I'm going to cut all that just so I can talk right.
you're
One of
good,
the
you're
things
good.
that I was excited for when you just said like, oh, people were expecting one thing and then they didn't deliver it because things change over time. We got what I wanted from Dragon Age Inquisition in the leaks for Dragon Age Dreadwolf.
Hey,
And I am so
Okay.
happy and so
Okay.
excited.
Before we go on to the leaks, I know there are some people that watch who like don't want to hear leaks, so leave now because we're about to
Yes.
talk leaks.
Yeah. I mentioned it at the beginning that we were going to be talking about it, but yes, when Nimble said warning, it is time now.
If you want to say in Dry Harbor, leave now, for we are to talk about the leaks.
Yes, and okay, so give you 3 second countdown. 3, 2, 1. All right, leaks. So here is what I am losing my shit over, and this is what they showed it in the original showing of Inquisition, and then they took it out, and I wasn't like angry, like oh what the fuck. I was like, oh what the hell, man, I really like that. The camera. Oh, the sweet camera. It's like up against your back now. It's the true third person. I love it. Oh, mwah, mwah. It's so good. I
Yeah,
I'm fine with like Inquisition style, like when you're traversing, but when it goes to combat, I love the way it looked in the leaks. Like it's right
Yeah.
up against your back. You're right in it. I love that.
My thoughts on the leaks, and this is more of a general thing because a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, this is such a departure from all the Dragon Age games. Oh, this is so different from them." And I'm like, newsflash, everybody!
Yep.
Each game has been drastically different
Yes, I
from
have.
the next.
Uh-huh.
If anything, that makes it more of a Dragon Age game.
Yeah.
It's completely different from other one. It's a Dragon Age game. Perfect. And so that's the thing that kind of blows my mind of like, what do you think is the part of the core gameplay in Dragon Age? I want people's answers to that. Because
The
it's
answer
like,
is wanting to fuck Varric.
yes, I mean,
Thank
but
you
that's not
very
even
much.
that's not even a game. Yeah, but that's not even, well, unless they make it a mini game.
The thing
which
is, there is no core gameplay other than the fact that you have your skills on the side with depending on what you click to change the
Yeah.
abilities that you're using.
Mm-hmm.
And even in Origins, that was drastically different versus PC versus
Yeah.
console. And so like there's a couple of things that stay the exact same, but then everything else is different every game.
Well, and even then, like, core parts of the gameplay from each game, I mean, like, are completely different. Like, Inquisition has jumping in it. You can ride a mount, and there's no healing spells.
I'm
Yep.
gonna
Like-
mute myself for a second. I got a call.
That's huge. like that is absolutely, those are huge core mechanics that are different. I think what I'm actually really excited for is that they said it was Final Fantasy inspired, which is interesting. That's a choice, and maybe that might go in the gameplay. When they said though it's inspired by God of War, the 2018 God of War,
Yeah.
I'm so fucking excited for that. That is
Okay, so I haven't
that
played
is
the
a
God of
good.
War series, but I've seen gameplay and it's actually really nice. So
Yeah, no, it is. If they are basing the combat off of that, y'all are in for a fucking treat because it is simplified but incredibly intuitive. Like it's
I think the biggest problem is that the argument is that it's leaving traditional strategic RPGs like in Origins, and that is a very big argument around the community because they want to be able to strategize more. And
Yeah.
the thing is, if in Inquisition you could strategize, and so it's not the leaks were so small, and it was only like a couple of them that like you don't know if there is going to be a combat system that you can like delve into to like go kind of like the zooming feature in Inquisition where you can tell people what to do.
Yeah. Um
I'm back,
yeah.
by the way.
Well, okay. Dope. Here's my thing on that. So they did talk about you might not be able to command your players or your party members and stuff. One thing, I've talked about this on the Discord channel before. But tinfoil hat conspiracy time here. These leaks were done on purpose.
Oh yeah.
These were
No,
done
I said
by
the same thing.
Bioware, and they were purely doing this to gauge fan reactions on what they want, what they would like, and how they would react to stuff. That is like I don't like they kind of said some really specific stuff, and I think I can't remember the source, but it's like the source kind of it just felt a little fish of like especially with the shit that has been how leaks have happened in the past of like I always talk about the Jason Schreier articles because of the fact of like in one of them 23 BioWare devs broke NDA to talk about the shit that was happening. That's huge. That is nearly unprecedented. And BioWare doesn't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
And also BioWare devs have talked about in the past where they purposefully leak stuff out to gauge reactions.
Didn't Mark Dara say that?
Yep.
Yeah. I was gonna say
and others.
With him saying that, and whoever else said it, on top of the fact that like there was that really big article like 2 days before. It was at least 2 days, if not like a week, maybe. Like right before that was like, hey, here's everything that's happening in Dreadwolf and how it's coming along, and then a couple days later you get this massive leak. I don't think that's like a
not
a coincidence. No.
It's that being said though, them not commanding squad mates I find is interesting because I'm wondering how much of a cognitive dissonance it is between because they kind of did something similar in Mass Effect Andromeda, where you could do like simple commands but you couldn't do specific ones. Like you could prime and detonate, which is kind of a mechanic that they also used in Anthem as well, where they had a lot of primers. You had priming abilities and detonating abilities.
You couldn't give you could give specific commands in Andromeda.
No, you couldn't. You couldn't tell them specific ability to use.
You sure?
You could. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could. Yeah, you could tell them go attack a thing, but you couldn't tell them to use pull or charge.
Why don't I remember
like,
that? I feel like I specifically remember doing that.
Like you could do kind of commands. You could target somebody, but you couldn't.
Yeah, I remember that. But
it wasn't like in the tactical cam in the original trilogy, where you could go.
Yeah.
Garrus use overload.
Why don't I remember that?
Use assassinate and then like take out a guy, for example.
It's so weird. I swear, I remembered that you could do that, but I guess not.
Or So that's kind of so it seems they're doing something similar. Granted, what some devs have said in the past is like people talk about it all the like the tactical cam and like commanding people and stuff like that, but 9 times out of 10, but like they'll look and it's like, well, we have the data and we show that no one uses these features or very few do.
Yeah.
Like maybe the
I do.
yeah,
I actually, I really enjoyed being able to, because like it
Yeah.
gives you, the only reason why I enjoyed it was because if you're playing on more difficult modes, if one of your characters dies, it's nice to be able to go to a different character, so you kind of have like 4 different tries about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with like Andromeda or Mass Effect in general, if you die,
You're dead.
then you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Well, and I'm
my
wondering
case,
if they're still keeping that.
yeah, probably. I imagine that if you're not gonna switch to people anymore, if you die, you die. I imagine that's how it's gonna go.
Yeah. Or
Uh,
well, I'm wondering is like, oh, you can't command party members anymore, but you can switch in between party members easier and have a wider range of control.
maybe.
I'm wondering if that might be more what they do.
In my case, when it came to Inquisition, the only time I ever switched to a companion is if I died. Other than that,
Yeah.
I never used it.
Yeah. So there may be also data like that of like, because like fans always talk about, oh, the tactical cam and being able to do all this stuff, and it's like,
I don't use that.
well, if you have the stuff that you post on social media, but at the same time, okay, well, we got data and stuff like that that says that's not the case, that you guys aren't using and stuff like that. It's the same reason why in Mass Effect Andromeda they went away from the Paragon Renegade system, outside of the fact of, hey, you guys, like, outside of, that's more of a Shepard thing, not really, we don't want Ryder to be like in the same thing. Also, none of y'all played fucking Renegade.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like, oh, and you want the fucking data for it? Here you go. And this is public. You look at the data and it's like less than 20% of playthroughs are Renegade. And it's like, we put in
Why put all the extra hours if not that many people are using it?
Yeah, if and it's not even, oh, well, it's a simple majority. A super majority of players don't play Renegade, and they put in just as much effort into Renegade as they did with the Paragon writing.
I like to have my Renegade options though, because I do love a Renegade option here and there. Like I always push the Merc out the window in Mass Effect 2.
Oh yeah.
I always punch the reporter. Like there's some.
Oh yeah.
The Renegade stuff's worth having.
Yeah, but it's also
not saying like it's not saying. Sorry, it's not saying like get rid of it entirely. It's more just the whole system in general, so that it's more like a neutral option of like, here, let's do something that's morally incorrect or something that you want to do to help people, rather than have a whole system of let's have this personality.
Oh yeah. Well, and also, oh man, I wonder if there's another game out there that didn't use a binary morality system where you had to make really tough choices. Man, I wonder if there's another game like that out there. Man, I wonder if like a game called Dragon Age or something has done this exact same thing. Like, so it's like when people bring up the, oh, Mass Effect needs a Paragon ranking, how will you make tough choices? I don't know. Ask Dragon Age. Ask them how they fucking did it. Or literally almost any other game out there. Like, The Witcher 3 is one I point to all the time. It's like, those are some of the toughest decisions you have to make in a fucking video game.
Yeah.
And are very morally dubious, and there's not a shred of a Paragon Renegade system. But back onto the topic of the leaks. I like if they are basing it off the combat off of God of War 2018.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fucking prime. I think that's going to be a treat for players. If it's anything that resembles that type of gameplay, where, hey, by the way, you can command and a squad mate to do things in, by the way. it's actually pretty intuitive on how to do it. I don't know how well that will work with 4 players or with 3 party members. How easily you'll be able to switch in between them. But if it's anything like how what they did in God of War 2012 or 2018 in God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, if you look at the gameplay video that was shown, it looks like God of War. Even even down to the little meter above their heads, like when you break their shields or whatever. Like
Yep.
it's got that and everything. And honestly, I'm super down for it. The only thing about the gameplay that I didn't like is that there's this weird when you get hit from the side, it gives you this really weird like rubber like rubbery like look, like you get hit and you go like a little
Boing.
boing,
Yeah.
yeah. And then but like that's whatever. That's just how it
Yeah.
looks. That's not gonna bother me too
I
much.
mean, like, and that might be just, hey, this is still an alpha. This is still an alpha. It's still rough. You know, we don't have quite like the engine, like the physics down yet. So,
I have a question about the leaks that I don't know if either of you have an answer, because it's probably something that's in the game and not available to us yet. Do either of you know, like in the description for the Connected Templar shield, or in the leaks, there's something called the Moor Watch. Have either of you heard anything about that in the lore so far?
no,
No.
the more
Be-
no.
Because ever since I saw that, I've been obsessed with that, wondering like, what the fuck is the Moor Watch? Because it says that it's really blurry, so it's hard to read, but it's like blah blah blah, has been enchanted by the Moor Watch to grant blah 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 resistance against spirits. I don't know what the Moor Watch is, but that sounds like it's probably like a new faction or like a people.
The Morwatch sounds more like an entity to me, like a singular entity.
And it's just, to me, it sounds like a group,
Yeah.
but it sounds really neat.
Nothing as far as, and mind you, this is off the top of my head. I would need to do a little bit further research into it.
Do you know how
But
it's spelled, Ethan?
I think it's Moor and then watch, like WATCH. So when I Google it, I get a bunch of Guild Wars stuff, but nothing Dragon Age.
Yeah, I will let you know. Granted, I am not the biggest Dragon Age expert. Yes, I know that's very ironic, especially with the content I make. I'm aware. My specialty is much more actually within like knowledge in the books and the comics. As far as I'm aware of off the top of my head, I don't think they mention anything like that in the books or comics.
No.
Granted, I haven't read every single comic.
Yeah.
So and granted, the only ones I haven't fully read through yet is Until We Speak and Until We Sleep. I haven't read through all of those yet. So I think those are the only comics.
Nothing's popping up for me at all.
Yeah, it's got to be something new in the series.
Yeah,
then.
I don't think it. Yeah, I was trying to think off the top of my head. Nothing in the comics that rings to mind. Nothing in the books that comes to mind either. At least not off the top of my head. Granted, someone with a better memory and better knowledge of me can prove me wrong, but I don't think there's any of a Moor Watch.
Yeah.
Really.
I also want to say, cool thing about the leaks is, and actually, before I even say what I was about to say, I'm looking at another part of like the gameplay, and the God of War influence is so fucking strong. They even have on the bottom left, like click in the two left, the left and the right stick to go do like a special move or some shit. They have that. They the only thing that's like different is like the health bar being in like the bottom middle of the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks just like it. What I was gonna say before I cut myself off, I love how Weishaupt looks. It looks really neat, even with all the like the sky being all black because it's not finished yet. But like, I love the architecture, and there's this giant door with the griffins on it, and it looks sick as fuck. I
Yeah.
am loving it, and also I have such a hard time calling it Weishaupt instead of Weishaupt because I was listening to the when I was reading the books, I was listening to The Calling. No, not The Calling. What's the one that takes place in the past during one of the blights?
Oh, that one's one of my favorites actually.
It's so good. It's so good. I have it over
It's
here, but something's in the way.
what is it? I have the books right here. Give me a second.
Last Flight.
Last Flight.
There we go. Yes, I had to think about it.
Speaking of which, where the fuck is my Last Flight book?
Dude, I listened to the audiobook
Oh,
for
I'm
it.
gonna have to go. Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, and the whole time the guy pronounces it as Weishaupt, which is usually probably how people would say it. But
Yeah,
no,
that would be the German
yeah.
pronunciation of it.
And so now every time I read it, I'm like, yes, Weishaupt, because that's how he says it in the book. And
Yeah.
it always kills me every time.
I was also about to bring up
really
Last
good.
Flight as well, because like we do get a depiction of it, and I'm really curious to see how close it is to the books. And like obviously, how it appears in your head is always going to be different.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious on how the two line up.
So far from just the little bits that I've seen, it's kind of kept up to what I see in my brain of
Yeah.
like the stone architecture, like very much like that. So I'm hoping it'll continue that way and it'll dazzle me when it comes out, because I had a very different picture of an Inquisition, what's it called, the other Grey Warden fortress in the Western Approach.
Oh,
Oh my god, what's
I
it
can't
called?
remember.
The one, it's in the book, it's in the Templar. Oh my god, Asunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked a lot different in my head. Not that I was complaining, but like, God, that scene with the taking away my brain's working overtime trying to think right now because it's been so long. When they're
Oh yeah, I was
trying to
about to say,
reverse the tranquil in the
Oh,
in that place.
yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That scene is insane, and thinking about it in my head, the place looked different. And when we got there in the game, I was like, "Oh, okay, so this doesn't look like how I thought so in my head."
Mhm.
What's the name of that?
Yeah. I forget as well. It's been a while since I've read the books as well, and I haven't outlined any of the books in a long time. So
It's
one of these days, I'll actually get on top of that. Anywho, um, yeah, with the leaks in general, like I'm excited for. Granted, they're small little bits of leaks. We don't know how old they are. They may be of the current build. We don't know how much has changed. That all being said, though, I'm curious to see how much they turn stuff. But I honestly think God of War is a great game. Like it won Game of the fucking Year, so they had to
It
have
did.
done something right, and it got nominated for Game of the Year. Ragnarok got nominated for Game of the Year, like nearly
damn good game.
instantaneously after launch. So it's like they did something right, and the combat has a lot to do with it. And you can't even say that, oh well, I don't want the combat to affect the playstyle, or to affect the story at all. And I'm like, or to like take away from it. I'm like, have you played God of War? That game will make you cry. That game will hit you in the fucking feels.
Oh,
Oh, there are parts of that game that are heartbreaking. And beautifully
God of War.
nuanced. Yeah,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
in
100%. Super heartbreaking.
2018 and Ragnarok.
Oh yeah, more so in my opinion, 2018. That was sadder one.
Yeah, but even then, I think Ragnarok tackles way more nuanced topics.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, especially if you want a single player, heartfelt experience, I can't think of another game outside of maybe Elden Ring that would be a good example. And even then, I don't even think that you can base the combat off of Elden Ring very well.
Elden Ring is one of the greatest games I've ever played.
Mhm.
So good.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic game. But is it BioWare's forte?
No,
Probably
not at all. No.
And so that's kind of the thing, is that like, if you want a game that to base it off of, which games are inspired by each other, I know, what a fucking shock. Yeah, it's like that's the game you base it off of. So, I'm kind of I'm excited for it, but then again, I also don't play Dragon Age games for the combat. I don't play them for the game mechanics. I play them for the story. I play them for the characters.
Yeah.
And so I'm
same reason I play.
Yeah. And that's why, and honestly, I'm going to go so far to say that's why that is what the franchise is known for. That is why people play those games, you know? So at the end of the day, that's kind of the big thing that they should be focusing on is making sure the characters are good, making sure it's good. Because if the Dragon Age games have proven anything, you can have the most inconsistent, laggy ass fucking gameplay, but if the characters and story is good, it's gonna carry you through to victory.
That's
looking at you, Origins.
I was gonna say, looking at you, Cyberpunk too.
Yeah. That game came out way more of a mess than any of the Dragon Age games ever have, which is kind of saying something.
Oh yeah, it was fucked up, but it was too good not to. It was like you had it was too perfect not to do well, even when it did bad, you know?
Yeah.
So Nimble, do you have anything that you wanted to bring up about the leaks? Any thoughts or anything like that? Do you want me to?
I like the hair. It's nice and smooth and pretty.
Yeah.
It's so flowy, and
I'm
I
so
know
excited.
that's not like what the focus on was.
No, it
about the
is.
leak, but like, I was just like, oh my god, hair that actually doesn't stay stiff.
I
Hair
love
that
it so
actually
much.
moves like hair.
Yeah.
It's like they saw Baldur's Gate 3 and like, well, let's do that.
It really was like my biggest focus on it. It was hilarious because I'm like, oh, you mean combat that's smooth? And like, oh, hey, what are all those companion photos? Oh, hey, what about that? Oh, no, it's hair. Give me my hair. Just give me the character creator having hair.
I just hope that the character creator is good, man. The playing Andromeda,
I think it'll be an upgrade from everything. Like, they're slowly getting it.
Say whatever you want about any of their games. You can say whatever you want about Andromeda, but to me, the worst part of Andromeda was the character creator. It was so bad, so insanely bad. It was like,
my thing with the character creator for Andromeda is you could make the most eldritch horde beings that came out of the abyss itself to say hello to Andromeda, or you could make some of the most fucking drop dead gorgeous characters I've ever fucking seen.
You see, I don't even agree with that, because I feel like you need to have the mods to get those drop dead gorgeous people.
No, I've seen it vanilla, and also
I have to see,
one thing that I'm also gonna say is that you could how many, like, this may be controversial a little bit, but like, how many from what I saw of that character, you could make such, like, there's a lot of character creators where it's like, oh yeah, you can make gorgeous characters if they're white. Good luck if you want to make a POC.
You see, I feel like that works for. I feel like that wasn't a problem for Andromeda, but it was for the previous games. Yeah.
Yeah, like
they did good for Andromeda for that.
Yeah, like that's one thing with Andromeda, where it's like if you wanted to make a POC that was drop dead gorgeous, you fucking could do that in this game, and you cannot say that can be said for a lot of other of other games. Like,
not until Legendary Edition came out, you couldn't do it for the rest of Mass Effect.
Yeah, you really couldn't. So it's like that's also the other thing. It's like you want to make a drop dead gorgeous writer, especially like if you wanted to make them Asian or anything like that. Yeah, Andromeda's the way you could fucking go. So it's but it was such a weird dichotomy of like Eldritch Abomination or Drop Dead Gorgeous. There's no middle ground.
Yeah, I feel like I in my opinion, the only way you can make somebody gorgeous is if you stuck with a preset because they were gorgeous.
Mhm.
And then I don't know. I've seen amazing looking writers, but like every time I've seen them, they're always with mods, and it's always and they're always female. So it's always the female writer are gorgeous, but the dudes always look like shit.
You're not wrong. I've noticed that too.
That's like they were really good. You can make some very pretty characters for the females, but as soon as you try to make
specific though. Anytime I had made a really pretty character, they were very similar to previous characters. Like there's only some settings that looked really nice, and then the rest looked like crap.
And if you look at all the beards, the beards in Andromeda were the most reject like garbage I'd ever seen. It's like it was like a child that wanted to be Jeff Hardy but couldn't figure out how to do it. It was all horrible facial hair, scary bad. Like, how did you even let this into the game? It looks so weird.
I think it was mostly time restraints.
I don't even listen. I would rather them cut facial hair. Period. With how bad the facial hair in the game actually. It was like, oh my god. There's one specific one that when I think of it, it like drags up all like the disgust, where it's like 3 separate patches, like up top, middle, and then down bottom, and they're all disconnected completely and perfectly cut. So it's like 3 squares of hair on your face, and it looks really awkward. And I'm just like, how did you guys even let this happen?
Yeah, right.
I would rather have no facial hair at all. So none of my writers had facial hair except for like the one at the end. I gave him like the beard, but it just doesn't look good.
See, now I'm trying to remember, like, if you want to talk, I think you could make it. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember if there was a character creator for Anthem.
No. It was like you had like a couple of presets you could choose from, and that was it.
Right,
you couldn't
I
edit them.
remember.
And then even then, you like never saw them.
Yeah, like what a it's like, oh, let me preset everything. Oh well, now I'm in a javelin suit all day. So
I will say the combat for Andromeda, and I'm sorry, not Andromeda, for Anthem is the best combat they've ever made.
Oh yeah,
it's fantastic.
Combat, it was really fun.
Absolutely loved it.
Oh yeah, the mechanics of the game were phenomenal, which is also why, like, when they put their mind to it, they can make some pretty fucking good combat. They can make shit work. Like, you look at Mass Effect Andromeda, combat was dope as shit.
I really enjoyed the switching of like the classes for Andromeda.
Well,
when you needed something, you could change it.
Yeah. Well, and also the really fun thing was, one thing that they even put in details of, like, if you wanted to be a left-handed shooter or right-handed shooter.
I liked that too. That was neat.
Which there's not a lot of games that you can do that. And I don't know if they've lost the technical know-how because that was the Montreal team that did that, and Montreal got absorbed by EA Motive. But it's like, and then you look at Anthem, it's like Anthem mechanically was fucking ambitious, and they pulled it off in regards of.
Oh yeah.
You want a 3-man team, or no? Yeah, it was 3-man team. Fucking Iron Man suit looter shooter. Mechanics wise, they pulled it off, and it was fun as hell. But there wasn't a lot of substance to it. So I think honestly, when it comes to the gameplay and the fact that they're basing it off of like God of War. And I think it was Final Fantasy 14. I might be wrong on that. Which, again, it's like, okay, they're taking some strong influences, and what they've done in the past is, mechanics-wise, has not been the weakness of those games. So now I think the mechanics are going to be good. It's now just a question of, okay, did you land the characters? Did you land the story?
Real quick, I'm checking the chat again. The top right of the picture I'm sending, that is the facial hair I was just talking about. Like horrendous. Click on it so you can see like the full thing. Like, what is that?
My brother
What?
in Christ. My
What is
brother
that?
in Christ.
And even then, the top left one, I actually I forgot, I lied. My main rider had the top left one. That is the only good beard in the entire game. The rest all look like those. But the top right one, like, why is that even in the game? What is that? What even is that?
They're like the weird ass mutton chops, but like.
But like,
Mutton.
I don't know. I don't have.
What do
facial
you
hair.
call that? Nobody has ever done that to themselves.
You never know. Somebody might.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, somebody in my in hell. Oh god. Yeah, so that's my beef with Andromeda. Everything else is fine. I like the game.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So I think that kind of covers everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's a good place to stop, unless you guys have any more thoughts on the leaks before we go.
About where I'm at. Hair.
All right. Yeah.
Varric.
Hair. That's hair and Varric. That's all that matters. Give me a hairy
No,
Varric.
I really enjoyed all of it.
Me too. I loved it. I loved the leaks and all that, and I very much would like. This is totally. I mean, I'll probably cut this out, or I'll leave it on the end as a teaser. Scott, I very much would still want to do book casts. We could talk about the books.
Yeah,
or
I
like
mean,
something at some point.
I think that would be nice for me because it would force me to get back into doing fucking like actually doing content for my fucking channel.
Yeah.
I also
got to figure out how to send you a big file, because I told you I'd send you the last podcast. I need to send it to you. I don't know how.
Okay, have you had it exported onto the computer?
Yeah, it's already on the computer. It's already all cut up. I posted it on YouTube and Spotify, so it's ready. I
should be able to just send over on Gmail or through Google Drive. That's
okay.
Spoiler alert, that's how we've
big.
always done it in the past.
Yeah, I thought it was like too big of a file and wouldn't let me, so I can do that.
No, it takes a sweet long ass time. Like I've sent 13 gigabyte videos over.
All right, dope.
So yeah, which your content isn't as visually demanding as how Minius does stuff, which one of these days I actually need to fucking change the visuals on Accidentally Casual, so then we don't like when I mean that most of our videos is like 13 gigabytes, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Dang.
All right. Well,
Like,
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, let's call it and then I can watch it.
Yeah, well, call it and then you can give me your email so I can send it to you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you to everybody so much for stopping by to watch. We appreciate it. It's been so much fun to talk about all the new news and the leaks and all that, and we're hoping to film some more stuff soon and get all kinds of shit out for you. It's been awesome. Scott, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Nimble, of course, thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
And see you next time, THEDAS.
See ya, nerds.